Welcome to Female Fractionals, the biweekly podcast for successful female fractional executives and those ready to take the leap. In each episode, I'll bring you actionable lessons and inspiration through interviews with thriving fractional leaders and experts. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Female Fractionals. If this episode looks familiar, it's because it is. I'm taking a short pause from recording to focus on building a stronger marketing strategy for the show for Season 2 coming January 2026. In the meantime, I'm revisiting some of the standout conversations I've had so far, episodes that capture the lessons, mindset shifts, and practical advice every fractional leader can learn from. This next episode is a conversation with Natalie Swan, founder of Swan and Associates. Natalie went from being a scrappy brand manager to fractional CMO and business owner, and she's built a model that pairs clear strategy with practical execution as an extension of the client team. On the podcast, Natalie and I dug into topics such as how to land your first clients without over-engineering the launch of your business, gaining clarity around your positioning, fractional leader versus consultant versus agency, and why she's not an agency. Mindset shifts that CEOs need to hire fractionals. Who are your right fit clients based on revenue stage, partner mindset, and the no, just send me leads rule. And scaling smart, when to bring on a lightweight team, build SOPs, and stay in your zone of genius. The big takeaway from this episode? Less is more. Be intentional, stay close to outcomes, and build a business you actually want to run. And have fun doing it. Hi, Natalie. Welcome to Female Fractionals. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I'm really excited for our conversation today.
Well, I would love to start the conversation with you, how I start with everyone, because I find everyone's journeys to be so fascinating. But wondering if you could share a little bit about your journey from events and brand management to launching your own fractional CMO business.
Yeah, I'm happy to share. It's a story that just really lights me up because I feel very fortunate to have just gone about things the way that they unfolded. So I started my career at a company in downtown Chicago. I moved there right after college. I'm from Oregon, so it was a big jump across a big part of the country. And we did large scale event production. And the company was started by two young entrepreneurs. They were brothers-in-law, and it really was at the forefront of the experiential entertainment industry. So things like the mud runs, music festivals, large scale beer festivals, things like that. And the company grew very quickly. I mean, we were recognized by major media outlets. We were putting on events for tens of thousands of people all across the US and internationally. And so I was traveling all the time. And I probably not surprising, I really found a love for marketing and for brand because essentially I was telling the story and promoting something that I really passionately believed in, that I thought was very fun, that was people making memories with their families and their friends. And of course, this is as social media is taking off. And so virality wasn't really a thing yet, but all of our events were being shared and shown online. And so it was just a really fun time. And I just, the marketing piece was something I was really interested in because it really pairs the business strategy and the data and the numbers with the creativity. And I'm sure, Amanda, you appreciate that as well. And it's probably, what draws all of us to marketing is this balance of what makes sense from a business perspective and how do we go make that happen in a really effective way and get creative. So I was with that company for several years. I worked my way up to being a brand manager where I oversaw multiple brand launches. I worked directly with the executive team, with the CEO and other company leaders on financial projections, and I would build and manage entire marketing strategies and campaigns. I oversaw our agencies and copywriters and worked with the tech team and the website developers and customer service. And so it just really, it was so comprehensive in terms of like how marketing can be really influential at a company and really touch all these different pieces of it. And I really felt like an entrepreneur there. Like it wasn't my business, but I was responsible for ensuring the success of certain brands. And so I feel like that really gave me confidence and the skill set to do what I do now. And so, yep, now I own my fractional CMO firm. It's called Swan and Associates, and I started it in 2017. So we're just over 8 years in business, which is really exciting. And now we get to bring that same resourceful, problem-solving mentality to our clients on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's great. 8 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
think you are my longest tenure so far. So
Oh my
congrats.
gosh.
So tell me a little bit about the journey to landing your first client. So the marketing prowess was there. I think sometimes, it's cobbler shoes, right? Like how how did you go about kind of marketing yourself and landing your first client?
I love that you brought up the cobbler shoes because I feel like this is something that's always in the back of our heads as marketers, like, oh, my website and my
I
messaging and all,
know.
my email marketing, all these things. So this was actually one of the hardest lessons for me to learn because after I worked at that event company, I worked for a marketing strategy consulting firm, and we had very large household name clients, and so it was very corporate, very sophisticated, very best practice driven. Here's how we do things. And so I knew so much about marketing that when I started my own business, it almost hurt me because this is how you're supposed to do things, and these are all the aspects of it that I need, and yada yada yada. But what I found was that coming from companies with those types of resources, with teams of 15 plus like expert marketers and agencies and huge budgets, like that's not realistic when you're starting your own business. And it's not realistic for a lot of the clients that we support as well, right? Especially clients that don't have a super sophisticated marketing function in place yet. And so I almost had to unlearn a lot and just really think about what is going to make an impact? What am I trying to do? And how can I go do that with the tools that I already have? So what did that look like specifically? Me emailing and sending LinkedIn messages to people that I knew from my work, like literally past managers, past team members, contacts from college, professors, like anyone I could think of, and just, hey, I'm doing this, would love your support. I think people have a fear of doing things like that, but what I found is people are really willing to show up for you and be supportive and make introductions. And so that's how it started. And Amanda, I know I shared with you my very first client was actually my former employer because I had moved out of state, and that's what led me to sort of pursue this new consulting opportunity. And before that came about, I was like, you know what, I have a lot of experience at this company. I know a ton about the business. I've been very successful in terms of how I've built brands and managed marketing campaigns. Could you guys use my help for a handful of hours a week? Like, can I do this from afar? And again, this was in 2017 when remote work wasn't really a thing. Like, not a lot of people were using Zoom, but they said yes, and it became this very like mutually beneficial setup. And that's sort of what taught me, like, okay, I can have a leadership role and do it part-time and do it from out of state and with these tools and processes. And so I didn't put all this pressure on myself of like, oh, I've got to land my first client. It just happened very organically, and with people that I already know I loved working with. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's a really great first client to have a lot of very good first learnings and client service and just all of the things that come with that first client.
Yeah.
So that's a fantastic way to start, in my opinion. Um, I would imagine that in these 8 years that you have kind of refined your positioning over time, I would assume, as
Yep.
one does in this space. And so how do you position your business, like fractional leadership versus consulting versus agency? Can you just explain that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Such a good question. And two, one that I find is really confusing just based on all of the marketing resources that are out there and how quickly
Right.
the industry changes. And that's one of the things that I hear from business owners a lot is like, what's right for me? Like what, right? Like, I'm hearing about SEO, I'm hearing about AI, I'm hearing about email marketing, but like, do I have to do all of it and how much? And so one of the when I started the business, I very much was positioning myself as a marketing strategy consultant. And I love strategy. I love business strategy, how marketing supports that. Like, marketing is not a function that lives in a silo. It's really a representation of the entire business. And so how is it different? Like, what did I see a need for? What I figured out was that the strategy was a critical piece of the puzzle. You will waste so much time, money, energy if you do not have the strategy in place first. And I see this all the time, Amanda, I'm sure you do as well. Oh, we hired a full-time marketing person, but they didn't know how to communicate with the CEO. They couldn't be a strategic leader. And oh, by the way, we have them trying to write content and do, all these other things that are part of the marketing function. And it didn't work out. Or, oh, we hired this agency to execute an email marketing campaign for us or a LinkedIn outreach campaign for us, and we didn't see any ROI with it. The problem is you need both. You need the strategy to start, and you need people who know how to effectively is a big part of it, execute on the strategy. Because, I hear things like, oh, we tried webinars, they didn't work. We tried events, they didn't work. But it's not that marketing does or doesn't work. It's how can you make it work for your business based on the resources that you have. And so this is a very long-winded way of saying my business I've designed, we're not an agency. We are effectively like an extension of our client's team. So they work directly with me as the owner, as their fractional CMO. I work directly with the CEO, the leadership team on how is marketing helping us drive revenue? How is it supporting the overall business strategy? What do we think is most important on a quarterly basis to like drive us forward with those things? And then I have a very small team of people that really help with the execution. So they're not essentially overpaying me to be the one to do all of these tactical things as well, but I have a team of experts who can help us actually get the work done. And so our clients keep us around because we provide the full scope of what they actually need, and in a way that they're not significantly overpaying for strategy or hiring for tactical execution that is like completely the wrong fit for their business. So
yeah. I always really respect someone who is so crystal clear on what they offer, because I think obviously it just provides so much clarity to whomever you're talking to, right? Because I think sometimes people come to fractionals and they don't really know what they need sometimes or what they're looking for. So, how do you define who is the right fit for your services in terms of size and revenue and even like the mindset?
Yeah. The mindset is such a big piece of it. I look for people who want a partner, who want someone that, I've learned in my years in business that if someone gets on the call with me and they say, oh, I have everything, like I just need marketing to send me leads, that's a red flag, because there's so much more that goes into it than that. And I've used this before, like I don't just have this like bucket of leads that I can just hand you and say, here you go, like you paid me, now here are your leads. Like that's just not how it works. And so the mindset piece of business is hard. If it were easy, everyone would do it, right? We would have figured this out. Like our clients are incredibly sophisticated business people. They have been doing what they do for a very long time. They have a very strong product or service that they're offering clients who love them. Like it's very fun to work with people like that because they truly believe in what they do. So I really look for someone who's looking to take that marketing off their plate and to trust the person that they bring in, right? It's if you're hiring an expert, if you're looking to hire a fractional executive, you're doing so because they have years of experience in what it is you need. And so, how are we going to work together to problem solve, to figure things out as we go, and to really be iterative with it, because we don't have all the answers, and that's okay. We're going to find them, but it's going to take time. And so that's really a big piece of it. And in terms of other things I look for, a lot of times people have come to me, like I mentioned, who've tried to hire a full-time person, but they expect that person to be all of the things and to do all of the things. And so if someone has a full-time marketing hire that they feel like and a lot of times too, I come in and I work with other full-time marketing people as well. So like some of our clients have full-time marketers, and that's amazing. Like we love working with them as team members, but really the CEO should not be the one who's making sure that marketing is happening and that's project managing it. And so when they're looking to get out of that seat and have someone else just own it, and they're still heavily involved, right? It's still a, hey, so-and-so, I need this from you, or I need you to do this, or even I need you to believe in this and to champion it with the rest of your team, because that makes it so much more effective. Those are really the things that we look for. And in terms of size of business, like it tends to be revenue wise, like 5 million and up, just because at that point, like they really have something that they're doing really well, right? To hit that point. And how do we pour gasoline on the fire?
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about like when CEOs are trying to bring in fractional executives, because the fractional movement, I think, is well underway, but I think that there's definitely still a bit of a misconception between like, when do I bring in a fractional CXO versus a consultant, and what kind of value should I be expecting from them? And so I think just like in your discussions with potential buyers of fractional services, what are some of the common misconceptions or mistakes that you have seen founders or CEOs or buyers make?
Yeah, this is such a good question, and I'm thinking about how to best tackle it, because there's a few different elements of it. But when you bring on a fractional executive, you are bringing on someone who has a very deep expertise in what it is they do. They have spent a lot of time to really be ingrained in the thing that you need help with to grow your business. And I've heard, business owners make the assumption that, this is going to be like a quote unquote cheaper option, or this is going to be, the thing that, oh, I can just have a little bit of support and I'm going to get what I need. But what I found is that people really underestimate the amount of work that goes into it, especially on the front end. And you're not, I would say, thinking of it less as a, hey, this person's giving me this number of hours per week, because that doesn't matter. You're not paying for the number of hours per week. You're paying for the years of experience they have to be able to function in that few number of hours a week and get you what you need. And is more so, can this person more quickly and more effectively get me the outcome that I'm looking for? Like, sure, you could hire someone full time. You could spend 18 months to 2 years with them, realize it's not going to work out. And what happens? Same thing with, bringing on an agency that maybe isn't the right fit. The worst part about that is not, I would argue, is not the time and money that you've wasted, that you've invested into the wrong thing, but is now you're starting over again at square one. Right. And so like you are avoiding that by having someone in your corner that can say to you, I hear you. Like I work with a lot of visionary CEOs as well. So they have a lot of ideas, and there's always something new we can do and try. And so it's a lot of yes. And what I understand about your business is this, what we're trying to do is XYZ. And so therefore, this is where we're going to stay focused. And this is what we really need to do right now. Not all these other things. So I hope that answers your question, but I think that it is a mistake to think about it in terms of this person's going to like have a very light touch on my business and they're going to have a huge impact. Like especially with marketing, I can't speak to, I'm not a fractional CFO. I'm not, I'm not doing these other roles, but from a marketing perspective, it's iterative, it's experimental. They have to be in the weeds. They have to really get your business, or they're just not going to be effective. And that takes a lot of time and energy to do right. So
yeah. And I think it's a perfect segue into just the flip side and the more positive, a version of the question, which would be like, if you could give one piece of advice or multiple pieces of advice to a CEO relative to maximizing the use of their fractional, making sure that they're getting the most out of the relationship, what would that be?
bring someone on who you enjoy working with and who you trust. Like that's it. Like if you don't have trust in that person that you're asking to be an executive on your team, like it's a non-starter. It's not going to work. And so I think that just really as you go through the process of like vetting each other and getting to know each other and, hey, we've had a couple conversations. Do we think that this is going to be something that we can be effective at together? Once you make that decision, like for me, when I decide to move forward with a client, like I'm in it. Like I am so invested on all fronts and like I want this to work, because if it doesn't, I don't have a business, right? Like if it does, that's what it is. And so, right. Which I think, again, I feel like there is and I've heard there's a mindset around fractional as like an external resource, which I don't think is a good one.
Right.
And, for me, when I partner with our clients, like I care so deeply about their business, about the success of their business, about how I can be effective, that, I don't think of myself as an external resource. And so it's important for me to look for people like that too. And so that's what I would encourage is like this person hopefully is an extension of your team and you're inviting them to be part of your executive team. Like that's a huge step.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I like too about so many times when I ask people to come on and give their definition of a fractional executive, that more often than not, that they include a fractional executive as someone that becomes a part of your team and is embedded in the organization, is always a part of their definition, is I think a really important one. So I am in complete alignment with you on that.
Which I would just say really quick, like you asked earlier and I forgot to address it, is how is it different than like a consulting engagement, for example? Like a consulting engagement in my mind would be, not in my mind, in my experience, would be very much like, here's the specific thing that we're trying to solve. We're going to do it. And then we're going to hand it off and say, good luck, go implement it, et cetera. Whereas a fractional executive should be the person who is overseeing, managing, refining, adjusting. Like it's not just here's the framework. It's here's the framework and here's how we're going to go do it. And here's how I'm going to manage it on your behalf and continue to build it out to be more successful. So yeah.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about business growth. So, once you got past that initial kind of dialing for dollars or emailing for dollars and LinkedIn, which we all do, right? You start that with that first concentric circle and you're reaching out to your network. What helped you grow and kind of push back or push beyond that first concentric circle of your referrals? What has kind of helped you grow?
Yeah. It kind of comes back to that lesson I mentioned of like less is more. Like, you can't do everything when you're getting started. And even as you grow and even as you bring on team members, et cetera. So I've just tried to be really intentional about how my marketing works and what each piece of it does for my business. So what do I mean by that? Well, I have a website. It's fine. It functions. It does what it needs to, but I don't send traffic to that website, for example. I'm not running paid ads or anything like that. I have an email list that I stay in touch with people. And then I really just do a lot of continued like networking with people. Honestly, like that's what works for me. And with marketing, especially if you're doing it yourself on behalf of your business, if it's something that you don't like to do, you're never going to do it. So I found that I really enjoy connecting people and adding value to relationship and making other introductions. Amanda, I know that's how you and I met as well. So that for me is fun. And it's a way that doesn't really feel like marketing, but still gets the word out, still, gets me in front of the right people, et cetera. So that, and then two, and this is big for our clients as well, is customer success stories, is, show, don't tell what you've been able to do for people. So a few great case studies, get testimonials, especially if you're in B2B and you're on LinkedIn, ask for LinkedIn recommendations. And another thing that I did before I had clients was I asked all of my former bosses and colleagues for LinkedIn recommendations. So then it's like, I didn't have a client per se at the time, but I still had people speaking on my behalf about, my success and what I've been able to do. So anytime you can have someone else sort of toot your horn, it's a really good thing to do.
Yeah. All good pieces of advice, especially because I hear more often than not that business development is one of the hardest things for fractionals. They didn't get into this to,
Yeah.
drive the BD engine, even though they know they have to do it, right? You're not going to be
Yeah.
a successful business owner if you're not selling anything. So I think that those are all really good, smart alternatives to, having to really put yourself out there from a LinkedIn thought leadership,
Yeah.
cold email, all of those types of things that you're hearing about all of the time in some of these, different entrepreneurial and fractional groups. One other question for you around just like business expansion, and that is when you started to bring people on to support you, and like
Yeah.
what did that look like? And just like kind of the thought process and then the actual process behind that. Um, I would just love to
Yeah.
learn more about that, and I'm sure our listeners would too.
Yeah, of course. It's been a journey. I'll
Mhm.
share that. Um, what led me to that was I love the strategy piece. Like I've shared, and really just I love being the strategic partner for company leadership. What I found was I had clients who had internal team member marketers, like whether that was full-time staff or, different like operational support people that could jump in and help with actually like getting some of the work done. And I found that those clients, I was able to be so much more effective with them because I could stay in the zone that they hired me for, which was strategic marketing leadership, right? Not how do we make the CRM function, right? Like that. So it was an evolution. And I just thought, I'm doing some of these tasks that I don't love and that I'm not good at, and my clients aren't really paying me for. Like, how can I give them a better service, spend more time doing what I enjoy doing? And, I personally just love being a part of a team, like build out a team around me to do that. And so, it's started out just I hired a coach. I hired a operations specialist who coached me, and we would sort of do the all the things you would think of, like what tasks are going on in the business, and what is Natalie working on that potentially someone else could be working on, and how do we sort of build process around that. And so yeah, that's really like how it came about. And I love process. I love efficiency. I think that's what's really allowed me to be so successful in the fractional role is like you have to be effective and move fast. And
Yeah.
so by having strong organization and communication skills and tools and templates and all these things in place, that's how I've been able to do that. So just prioritizing that, I mean, maybe to some people it sounds boring, but like the SOPs and the project management software, like all of those things have really allowed me to then literally improve the quality of service that I'm providing to my clients while also having other people step in to do some of the work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really smart two-pronged approach to efficiency while also creating tools that are going to be repeatable and scalable.
Yeah.
That's great. And you also have to always think about as a fractional, how do you get some of those $10 tasks off of your plate, whether
Yeah.
now it's enabled
Yes.
like through an AI tool or whether it's a $10 task or it's just something that that you either like don't want to do or it would be
Yep.
better off to be done by someone else, right? So I think it's great to I think sometimes we come in and depending on the experience that you had previously, you can come in and like, try to be the hero for all of these organizations because you
Yes.
do care so much. And it's just like, you don't have to be the hero. You can still get things done, but it doesn't all have to fall on your shoulders. So I think that's something that many fractionals learn as well. So
And it's hard, and I see it with clients too, because entrepreneurs are problem solvers and we're doers. And so it is a, it's a constant, I'm having to like remind myself and train myself of these things on a very regular basis, because that's the knee jerk is like, oh, okay, let me jump in. Which of course I'm always willing and happy to do, but it's just not the most effective way of doing things like long term and as trying to grow and as trying to like continue to better serve clients. So I just, if you're listening to this and it resonates, I would say find a way to like signal to yourself when that's happening, or when hey, I'm really not enjoying this task, or is there someone else that could help me with this? Like the answer is there's probably a solution. So yeah.
I think that is very, very sage advice.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question and then we'll jump into rapid fire. But I think looking back on your journey, is there advice that you would give yourself as you think back to, like year 1 or 2?
Oh my gosh, such a good question. This is gonna probably sound really cheesy, but I would say like just have fun with it and surround yourself with people that you enjoy being around. Like I feel so lucky to work with the people that I get to, both on my own team and with our clients, because they're so smart. They're so good at what they do. They care so deeply about their work. And being around people like that on a regular basis is just, it's so uplifting. And it just constantly challenges me in a really positive and interesting and fun way. And so I think that, I'm someone who can over process and who can get a little like granular with things. And, I'm a perfectionist and I want everything to be like really buttoned up and crisp. But when you work with people where you have that trust, where you have that like problem solving resourcefulness, like you don't have to operate like that. and you're more successful when you don't, right? Because we're all people who are trying to like figure it out. And so that's what I would tell myself.
That's good. If only we could all go back, right? Right. But I think that's very good advice.
Yeah.
It's very good advice for those that are in the beginning of their journey. So that's great. Okay, so we're going to jump into rapid fire, which these are questions that are meant to be answered in one word or one sentence or less. So we have some fun ones for
Okay.
you. Okay. Favorite productivity hack?
I am obsessed with ClickUp, which is a project management tool. I mentioned it like briefly, but my team and we never, I'll say never, like so rarely email each other because everything lives in our project management software. And so anytime you're doing something, go here, look at this, respond here. And it is an incredible, I'm not an affiliate or anything. I've been using the tool for years and it allows us to do so much and move so quickly and reduce a lot of meetings and back and forth. So yeah.
Anything that reduces meetings needs to be added to everyone's list. Okay, what's a fun fact about you that's not on your LinkedIn profile?
That I have traveled to 6 out of 7 continents, and I hope to go to Antarctica soon. So that is my last one.
To record another episode to learn more about those trips.
Yeah.
Favorite business book you've read?
I've read a lot. I love Shoe Dog. I like by Phil Knight, just the Nike story. I'm from Eugene, Oregon, so it's near and dear to my heart. I went to the U of O, so I'm sure I'm a little biased, but that was a fun read for sure.
If you could instantly master one skill or hobby, what would it be?
Something creative. Coming back to my point about like marketers, obviously we have a level of creativity, but I don't consider myself creative from a like artistic perspective. So like singing or painting or drawing, something that I think could just use my brain in a different way would be great.
Okay, and finally, the most used emoji in professional texts.
Yeah. There's not just one. I will say I use them all the time. I also use them for like our team SOPs and things like that. Like number one, I find them fun, but number two, I find them a useful tool. Like it's a visual cue, right? Like so one of our clients does events. And so for certain types of events, we always use the same emojis just so the team knows what's going on, like customers know what's going on, et cetera. So I would just say if you're not using them, like, why not?
Yeah.
Get going with it.
Yeah. Yeah. They are very fun. I agree. It does add a little level of something more fun when they are used.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's great. Well, this has been very fun. Thank you so much. I have enjoyed the conversation immensely. I think you have so much wisdom to share. I mean, you have the offer figured out, you have the positioning figured out, you have the audience figured out. You have a lot, as I said, of knowledge to share for the audience. So I appreciate you bringing it to the podcast and sharing it with me and others. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. So happy to share. And, for anyone listening, would love to just connect on LinkedIn, like reach out, and just happy to help and be a resource. So thank you so much for having me.
As always, please remember to follow, like, comment, and share. And don't forget to head over to femalefractionals.com for a full transcript of the show and links to everything we talked about during our conversation. Thanks for listening.